Thank you for coming to another Fixed Virus and CyberCrowd podcast. So I have this as a video, as a Fixed Virus show, and I also making this now new CyberCrowd podcast. It's my fourth episode in the CyberCrowd. I have a lot more videos, but anyway, the topic today is why did China declare war on the West, the USA? So let's go and revisit the Microsoft Exchange Server hack. Now, if you remember, the Exchange Server hack is from a year ago, and there was articles and discussions. Exchange Server attacks just beginning in March 16th. The attacks exploiting the flaws were first spotted in January. They initially were limited and targeted, seemingly for espionage. The adversaries primarily targeted specific email accounts. Microsoft attributed the activity to a group it calls Hafnium, believed to operate out of China. Then, during the last weekend of February, researchers noticed a significant uptick in remote code execution attacks. Now, I don't know if you know this, but remote code execution attacks are the most feared by cybersecurity defenders. The thing is just think about what it says. You don't need to be on the system to successfully attack a machine. And the problem with mail servers, Exchange Server is a mail server or software, is they have to be on the internet. Without, they have to be on the DMZs. They're not as protected as some other systems are. So you can reach them from anywhere on the internet. They're one of the weaknesses in many different companies. So if you can remote code execute them, an attack, if you can create an attack that is remote code execution, you can reach all these machines and you can take them over. And that's exactly what happened. So, and then we had the articles later in the year. What are the lessons for the defenders? Then we had the articles. They had maybe this had a greater purpose than just spying. This was an interesting article by NPR. This one said that apparently the Chinese had been collecting small and medium businesses administrators' email addresses. And I'm asking, why would that be? I wonder. Here's the paragraph information. Stealing information from small and medium-sized businesses out in the American heartland doesn't immediately suggest espionage. Instead, officials believe that Chinese gather this information to help them construct the informational mosaic they need to build world-class AI. It explains their tendency, Toad said, to gather and aggregate data and as much as possible and not discriminating where that data comes from. A little bit more here. The reason we should care about that is because of the role AI plays in our everyday lives. It is becoming the mechanism by which insurance rates are calculated, credit is given, mortgages are approved, and healthcare data is calculated. And Toad said Americans should take a moment to reflect on what it would mean to have a technology that will touch our lives in a myriad of ways, built by someone else, and more specifically China. As it builds out its AI, China can social engineer to its priorities, to its mission. She said, and that mission may be different from ours. So here is where I want to take that information and now discuss my infographic. My infographic says why why did China declare war on the West? Well, the goal is to be the top country in the world and for the Communist Party to survive. The Communist Party is always worried about survival because number one, they're worried about other countries. And actually, before number one, they're worried about their own people. They're worried about others, but they're worried about their own people first. So they have to prove their existence all at all times. They want to be able to say, we are on top. We dictate to others. That's why you want to be under the Communist Party. That's why we can do whatever we want to you. That it proves their existence. CCP wants to right the the perceived wrong history, and history is 100, 200 years ago. Boxer's Rebellion, the Opium Wars by the British, by the West. The Americans also came. So all these old failures of the previous generations, CCP China wants to right the wrongs. And they also want to go back to the ancient times where China was on top and there was nobody else. And they had a saying back then because of all the different kingdoms that were in China. They knew that at the end there was only going to be one kingdom. Only one can rule the heavens. So the heavens is China. And so they're reclassifying all this stuff. They're wanting to change the battle space. It's no longer in China, it's now the world. Only one can rule the world. So just like ancient history, CCP wants China to be top country, just like in ancient times. The Unrestricted Warfare book by these two colonels, no attack is out of bounds. Civilians and soldiers can attack anyone and for any reason. You got to keep that in mind. And the bottom line is the CCP controls all. Using artificial intelligence, internet, and open Western democracy against us. This is their goal. And they have, they will use any means to get that. Remember, there's some things are in the news now about the solar panels. Rob, replicate, and replace. This is a process for them. This is all part of the unrestricted warfare. Remember, they have 1.4 billion people. You really have to think about that number. So let's say they use 10% of those people for an end. That's 140 million people. Where do we have in any industry 140 million people? Any single industry? There's none. So they can and they will have the patience, the effective strategy in some sense. They will keep trying strategies until they become effective. And so that's why they're wanting to use AI to grab all the data. This is why I don't want you to be on TikTok. Even though TikTok looks like a innocuous little software, it's run by China. The CCP runs it. So whatever information you put in it on that, you open that TikTok up, it now knows what you're doing on your phone. Then on. I mean, this stuff is. This is why I want to create the CyberCrowd movement. It's a way to defend all of us because some of us are harming everybody because we are, as humans, we have a predisposition not to focus on security. There's enough of us that do that, which makes everyone's lives more difficult. So therefore, I want to create a CyberCrowd movement which should help others understand cybersecurity better. So if you understand cybersecurity, you are part of the CyberCrowd. You can help other people understand cybersecurity better, even a little bit at a time. This will take a long time. So take a lot of effort by all of us, but it's worth it. Because if we can protect ourselves against external threats, it's not just China. You know, I created an acronym, CRINK: China, Russia, Iran, and North Korea. Those are the nation states that we are worried about as a cyber defense. Remember, the battlefield will be everywhere, is the thesis of unrestricted warfare. The concept of unrestricted warfare goes much further, changing the definition of who fights and brings civilians irrevocably into the battle. Page 48. That's in Brigadier Robert Spalding's book, War Without Rules. He translated the book, and it's unrestricted warfare. The book is actually very difficult reading because it's written in a almost deliberate manner to be difficult to read. So, what else do I want to say before we stop this today? Yeah, I mean, I mentioned this last time. Everything that can benefit mankind can also harm him. They wrote the book in 98. This is to say that there is nothing in this world today that cannot become a weapon. This sentence was written in 98, 3 years before 9/11. And we all know what happened in 9/11. Airplanes hit the towers, which we hadn't thought of before. So I'll leave you with that, and we'll revisit this. We have to. This is a long stretch here. It's not just one podcast that will turn the tide. Thank you. Until next time.